So there are three observations I would make about innovation. The first one is that patience and persistence are really powerful friends in the innovation space. Sometimes you really have to work for a long time to get something to happen. Many of my projects have taken many, many years to reach some kind of fruition. Youth is also very helpful. If you're too young, you won't know that you can't do that. And I've been surrounded at Google for the last 15 years by a whole bunch of young people who are too young to know you can't do that. And so they go out and they do it. And that's part of the audacity of youth. And so that's another wonderful ingredient in innovation. And I think the third thing is that some innovations can't happen until the conditions are ripe for it to happen. So ethics is actually a very broad topic. I think anyone who's responsible for writing software, individual programmers and companies that generate software and either sell it or provide access to it or implicitly bind it to a product or a service, they all should sense a very strong feeling of ethical responsibility to assure that the software is safe and reliable and secure and protects privacy and so on. The makers of these devices need to be transparent about what they do with any information that is accumulated or at least accessed by these devices. Let's start out by, in a sense, broadening this to digital inclusion. And by this, I mean more than just access to the internet. It needs to be affordable, it needs to be reliable, it needs to be sustainable, it needs to address real problems that people have, solve problems, and provide them with access to information. It needs to support local languages, which may or may not imply translations of one kind or another. We need to deal with accessibility in the disability sense of the word. If you're blind, how do you use these applications? What if you're deaf? What if you have a motor problem? How do we make all of these things useful for everyone, regardless of potential disabilities? So how do we accommodate that? These are all really, in many cases, very hard problems to solve, but we should feel motivated, I think, to solve them precisely because of the already visible inequities that are showing up. And I would say for contemporary purposes that the pandemic, which is affecting the entire world, is highlighting inequities in our social and economic structures, whether that's supply chain weaknesses or in unequal access to the internet, unaffordable services or products, all of those things. So we have to drive costs out. We need to adopt policies that will encourage competition where competition is sustainable. We may need to look for subsidies in order to reduce the effective cost of some of these services. We need to teach people how to use the services so in a safe and secure way, to tell them about things like two-factor authentication so that their accounts can't be hijacked. There is a huge palette of things that we need to do and a broad canvas on which to paint the solutions. And I'm persuaded that we need to leaven the IoT industry with awareness of these issues and a sense of responsibility and accountability for helping to solve them.